Do you know how I
good.
line up our audio now?
How?
So from your headphones, like the way your head is turned, you can clearly hear Mark say, and my name is Mark. And so I just listen for that and line it up with Mark saying, and my name is Mark. Because otherwise,
Great.
like, that will kind of bleed through a little bit and, like, just sound really bad. So the claps don't look lined up anymore. I'm really sorry when you're doing the video. But I promise the audio is going to be better if they're not lined up.
No, it's fine. I work it out.
You work it out? Okay.
I work out.
You do. I was about to
Yeah.
laugh at you, and then I remembered, no, you
No, I was
actually
gonna
do.
say, no,
I
you do
can't
good
even
work.
fucking make fun of you. Piece of shit working out.
This fucking guy.
I'm so sorry. I'm
His
so proud of
competence.
you. I was like so mean for no reason. Like genuinely proud of you.
It's the time change. It's got everybody all fucking
I'm
ornery.
so fucking tired today. It's not even about. Don't yawn. Don't yawn. Everything's fine. Breathe.
That's what yawning is. It's your body.
Yeah. It's just your body breathing.
Breathing, but more.
Okay.
It's a dramatic breath.
It's like Poppy doing her breathing. Let me tell her to take a deep breath. Okay.
Mm.
We good?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What? Great.
Hello, lore heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today we're talking about the Machine Herald Viktor, who was released December 29th, 2011.
We're talking about Viktor? I thought we were talking about Smolder. That's all I read was the Smolder.
Fuck.
I just did it 5 minutes ago. That's all it took.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
I have very strong memories of Viktor being released.
I do too.
Oh, yeah?
I
Really?
really remember
Ooh.
playtesting him.
Yeah.
He must have been very unique at the time, like his laser ability.
He was.
Yeah.
That was very unique. And also, when he was first released, at some point somebody found that when you ulted with him, you know how you can like click your mouse to move around? Someone realized that if you click the R button instead to move it around, you get a gold for every time you hit the R button because
I forgot
his
about
things were
that.
coded as minions.
It's a yeah, and they're killed. Yes. Oh my
That
god.
is so funny.
And it became a game to see how many times you could hit the R button before they patched.
Riot. At what point were they like, guys, we gotta stop making everything minions.
We can't be all
We can't
minions,
fucking do this
guys.
anymore.
I guess I didn't playtest it very well. I was like, oh, I remember playtesting it, but obviously we didn't do our jobs. I mean, whatever. I was not. It's not my job.
That is such
but,
a like hard thing to notice because you
Right,
click it
going
maybe
up
like
one
15
gold.
times. Like if you get it 15 gold, you're not gonna fucking notice that in League. So
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Viktor. Yeah.
I forgot to write down the quote I wanted to do.
Oh.
I feel
Okay.
like
I can start this.
yeah. Go for it.
Okay.
Join the glorious evolution.
Nice.
Beautiful.
What
I figured that was gonna be what Mark said because he wrote down "Join the Glorious
Yeah,
Evolution."
you gotta. It's like it's his most iconic.
Yeah. And he says it in the comic like 1,800 times.
It's his only line.
There was one that I liked. All of these sound so familiar to me, though, because I play Viktor sometimes, and he has like 15 quotes.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of
I don't think
quotes.
I realized he didn't have a lot of quotes.
It's because he says them with conviction.
Yeah.
You like his
He got it in
confidence
one.
carries it through.
Oh, okay. God, I don't remember how he says this now. Should I do the hand thing like Mark did?
Yeah, that sounded good. I'm gonna do it too.
I liked
I'll
it.
steal that.
Relinquish the flesh.
Love it. I love it.
Thank you. I can't do a robot's voice.
I don't know how Mark did it. I'm gonna try and
This
recreate.
was good.
Steel can fix all your flaws.
There's an accent with you.
I like that you went for it on the laugh. I like that he has an evil, maniacal villain laugh. I
He
around.
does. That's
forgot
really
that he
what I
does.
think about every time he uses E. He's like, it's really good when I hit someone with it. Because I'm also like, like every time.
Him and Singe, just two Zon guys, just chuckling at each other the whole time. It's
Giggling
great.
all day.
Living their
They're
best
loving it.
villain life.
Yeah. All right. Well, on the universe page, he has a bio and 2 short stories linked, although he's not really in one of the short stories that's linked. There is a comic that came out pretty recently with the release of Convergence. I looked it up 18 million times, and I can't remember this. A Perfect Life. That's right. And he's like the main villain in it. But you cannot find it anywhere, and it is horrible to read on the wiki, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
On my phone.
I know.
I
Did it come out as
even
like some like pre-order bonus or something for Convergence? Like, why is it impossible to find?
I don't know. I try to follow. So on the wiki, right, you can look at it on there, but they'll also have a reference link to just go to the origin, where it actually is, and it's not there. Like it's all on the like the Convergence Riot Forge site, and then you click to open the comic, and it's just like a blank, like I don't know, like toast menu, whatever pops up. I don't know. It's like, oops, did they just like delete it? Like, well, we're done with that release. Let's throw
I
this
don't
shit in the
know.
garbage.
They decided they were done with Riot Forge, and they were like, well, then fuck your comic.
There's
also delete the
no
comics.
proof this ever existed.
Salt the earth. Right?
It's a shame, because we don't know that this is canon, this comic, because Convergence came out before the announcement of, like, everything after this is canon. And we know that Arcane is canon, and there are some connections, but I would love to see how Arcane Victor becomes this evil Victor.
And Arcane Jayce becomes this Jayce.
Yeah, that's true. This is more
Yeah.
of like the
Classic
the
Jayce.
classic universe Jayce, which was hilarious. Loved him.
It was so
He
funny.
was really funny. But that's definitely not the Jayce that we get in Arcane. Oh my god, wouldn't it be so funny if that's where they were going with Jayce, is he just becomes this like fucking arrogant asshole.
Right? They
Well, you know, I
they
remember when we-
started it a little bit in Arcane, and then he was like, oh no, he's learned. Now I feel like he should just double down now.
He just like gets a bigger and bigger head, right?
I'm kind of curious. I remember having that thought when we did the Jayce episode, and I'm still at that point of like, I want to know how they're gonna translate all this stuff that's kind of in these pieces, which are very like Victor is very different from piece to piece, and I'm really curious to see what the final what it's finally gonna look like, right? Because that's what it will be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really curious.
That's true.
I don't
Well,
know.
I'll go through the bio. It's a really long bio, full of shit. Like, there are so many stories within this bio. We are really following Victor through, like, this very dense period of his life where everything
Yeah.
happened. It was, like, several seasons of a TV show compiled in his bio.
So it may not surprise you to find that this bio is by Graham McNeil.
Holy fuck. Okay, that makes so much sense.
Okay.
I was wondering. And now most of it might not even be canon anymore. I
Right.
assume most of it's not canon
Yeah,
anymore.
probably not.
But let's read it, and then we'll kind of pick apart how it could fit in. What could fit in with Arcane, with where we are.
Pass the
Sure.
wine before
Oh,
you
yeah.
kick this off.
Oh yeah, I was
Gotta
gonna
get stuck
Slosh. I was gonna pour myself a glass of the sangria, and it was gone. And I was like, John, did you bring an entire bottle of sangria downstairs? And he was like, yeah, yeah, I did. Sure did.
It's gonna be a long episode.
Yeah. Well, Victor was a normal, smart boy in Zon. Zon makes a lot of those smart, intelligent inventors.
You gotta be smart to survive.
He had a somewhat toxic work ethic, but was very good at inventing things. One day, Victor realized that most accidents in Zon are the result of human error, so he wanted to use mechanical inventions to make places safer. Only one Chem Baron gave him a chance, and it worked, so others wanted his help too. This got him the attention of some folks in Piltover, and he was offered a chance to go to the academy there. I summed that up very quickly. That is several paragraphs of the bio.
You're right.
Victor met Jayce there. Both are so super duper smart, but absolutely loathe each other.
Hate to love.
No. Never. Not in this anyway. Well, Victor was in Piltover. A huge chem spill happened in Zon, so Victor went back there to help out. He created Blitzcrank then, who helped save a bunch of people. Although they also tried to find a way to help people who were affected by the spill by merging them with machines it was kind of vague and I didn't really understand. But it didn't work.
I think the thing that, I guess the important thing was like, they were gonna die, and there was like a rot in their brain that he tried to fix without merging them, and he couldn't. So it kind of became the only way to actually save the people.
Okay.
This is like a separate thing from the Blitzcrank. The Blitzcrank thing is like its own separate thing, right? Like they go clean up shit, and then he gets the credit stolen, and then Blitzcrank just kind of fucks off into Zahn. Right? Sorry.
This was the end. This was before that. So then Viktor and Blitzcrank went their separate ways. When he went back to Piltover, Viktor found out that his Professor Stanwyck took credit for Blitzcrank. No one stood up for Viktor, including Jayce. A-hole. So Viktor never got credit for his successful heroic golem. I don't know why Blitzcrank couldn't have been like, it was me.
Well, because in Blitzcrank's bio, none of that happened.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's also true.
Viktor decided to just move on, though. He and Jayce's differences finally got to be too much on a project they did together for, like, these diving suits. People were, like, they wore them to clean the docks in Piltover, but they were complaining of hallucinations when they went down too far for too long. So Viktor found a way for them to wear a helmet that allowed them to, allowed him to control their fear responses. It saved them, but Jayce was not on board with this, like, level of control that he had. So they stopped working together, and Jayce even reported Viktor, and he got kicked out of the academy.
Now I'm remembering Silco's lair in Arcane and the fucking massive ass fish that they're like, maybe they weren't hallucinations, Viktor. Maybe they're just massive sea monsters down
like,
there.
Guys. And they said they were seeing like bodies, like reanimated corpses or something like that. Just might be under there.
Could
honestly.
be too.
It's Runeterra.
Sure.
There's reanimated
harmless.
corpses
You just
all over the place. They're harmless.
Don't make eye contact with them.
They're more scared of you than you're scared of them. Okay, just
when you turn, you look at them. They
Ring your
stop
bell.
like the ghosts in Mario. Oh, so cute. Anyway, Viktor went back to Zahn. He got really sad and blamed human emotions for all of his problems. So he did some surgeries on himself to get rid of all those nasty, gross, icky dicky emotions. And he became the Viktor we all know now in the game League of Legends. He ended up changing his entire personality, and now he just wants to bring a glorious evolution. Yeah. Basically, he's a Cyberman from Doctor Who, if you've ever seen that. Yeah. Humans are weak and dumb, and we should use technology to make them better. So that's what he did in Zahn for a while, saving a lot of people, but at a cost. He became pretty well known. I think the line was like, if you were desperate, you went to Viktor, kind of thing. We're not done. One day there was another toxic spill.
Yeah, sorry, I messed up the last one.
Yeah.
I forgot there was another. There's no shortage of toxic spills.
There's so many. In the comic, fucking Echo's dad just splashes in some toxic spillways as he's walking down the street.
It is funny.
Day. Yeah,
it's like dog shit on the street. It's like, watch out!
Watch out!
You're gonna fuck up your loafers.
Okay. It happened in the sump. A ton of people were turned into, and this is their quote, rabid psychotics. Viktor sedated them and brought them into his lab, trying to undo the toxin, which was eating away at their brains. He was able to make a machine that opened their heads to, like, filter the bloodstream, but the machine wasn't powerful enough.
It's called the
Saw. It's been invented, Viktor. I get you're smart, but, like, not everything is yours.
The old. Yeah, Saw.
Those were originally invented for childbirth.
Oh.
Saws.
Fun fact. She listens to a lot of Sawbones. Which, aptly named.
Yeah. Anyway, Viktor's machine wasn't powerful enough, but he followed a new power that was floating around that led him to Jayce, who was playing with a hex crystal. He found it in Shurima. That's where hex crystals come from in canon now, right?
Honestly? I was reading back through the council archives, and maybe.
Really? Even like with Arcane, you think they're coming from
Arcane
Shurima?
council archives.
Oh, okay. Fuck me. Never mind. Egg on my face, right? That's something people say.
You're so smart.
Jayce wouldn't give him the crystal, though, so Viktor stole it. The crystal did help his machine, but before the machine could complete his work, which is like just kind of controlling their brains. The way they describe it in the comic was he scooped out their brains and put them in something else.
It had very much like Nightmare Before Christmas, that like doctor vibe.
Oh,
You'd
sure,
always just like
yeah.
open his head and scratch his brain. And
Yeah, before the machine could complete its work, Jayce busted in, destroyed everything with his hammer, and all the people died. Naturally, Jayce returned Piltover, a hero. Viktor escaped and is still trying to make Zahn better with his machines or something. That is his bio. There's a lot of shit in there. I would say most of it is not going to fit in what they have with Arcane, except maybe how Viktor got to Piltover, like that he was kind of helping people in Zahn, and that got the attention. I don't know.
it's funny too, because the very first line I think of the bio was immediately no longer relevant. I think the first
remember
line
what
was
the
like,
first line
Viktor
was.
was born in Zahn on the borders of the Entresol level, which we know that he was born in the mining colonies.
Oh, I did not remember
not the
that.
Entresol level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if the mining shit really even existed that much in the kind of like universe.
Right.
Older canon, you know, it's always just like some vague sort of like they're down in the doing something. I don't know, they're doing
There's
some shit down there.
We both make the same stupid
I'll get you a
joke.
little something.
Something.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I've been talking
well, I
forever.
was gonna say you had it. You certainly had it right. I don't know about a lot of this. The big question for me is like, you think Blitzcrank gonna be in Arcane? It's such like a small like
I
footnote
hope
in
so.
his. I hope so. I mean, I kind of hope so too. I don't know.
I would
It's hard
love
to.
that.
I kind of would love it too. It's probably one of those things that would make me shit my pants. You know, right? If like, it's a question of how they arrange it. You know, and it's. I don't know. I think there's not really. I feel like there's not really room for Blitzcrank to be like Heimerdinger kicking around for many
No,
episodes as a
yeah.
proper character. You'd have like the last episode after Victor's gone full metal, like you'd have him and he'd have like something that looks kind of like Blitzcrank and shit. It'd be like the way they handled Warwick almost, right? Like, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, I
don't
have
know.
no idea where because season 2 is the last one, right? So I just don't know where Victor's going to end up because he's pretty full villain in canon, like as of right now.
They say that?
What?
Season 2 was the
Last one in Zahn Piltover.
Last one is on
okay,
Piltover.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Christ, you scared the shit
No.
out of me.
Like I would say that casually. So I'm kind of curious how far off the deep end he's going to get, and what we've seen in Arcane, like his augments kind of are almost more void-like.
Right? Like
Yeah.
they're metal, but
They ain't the normal.
he didn't build them.
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. He didn't build those, so I am curious where that's gonna end up.
It's a good question. I think it's hard too because like he in it. This is what I said earlier, where like he really changes from story to story, right? Like ultimately Victor to me is like he's kind of at war with himself because there's two Victors, right? It reminds me a bit of like Quinn, where there's a Victor who's like a proper Doctor Doom supervillain, and you see that in like the comic and some of like the bio and a little bit of that Jayce story. But then there's like his short story and some of like maybe a little bit of his older lore where he's just this like
This
quiet,
local witch
lonely,
doctor.
misunderstood. Yeah, he's not even like evil. He's like he just, you know, I don't know. And I kind of like that second one more.
I do too.
So I don't know. I
think that's what
so I
they
kinda
would lean
hope-
into with Arcane. Like his color story, which we'll get to soon, I'm sure. That I could see Arcane Victor becoming that guy, right?
Yeah.
In Zahn, like very easily.
Yeah,
And
I mean, you
he's-
know,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say he is still pushing his like kind of agenda of being part machine is inferior, and even if you don't need an augment, why wouldn't you get one? Because it could make you better. So I think it's still there, but not in like this world domination type of way, which is less that's less interesting to me. Him being like everyone shall be machine, like that's just okay, bud.
Yeah. I agree.
Runeterra's
you know,
a big place.
Yeah, no one's gonna give a
It's a
shit.
lot.
Try that in Ionia or some shit right now. Like they're not gonna care. You're gonna die so fast.
God, I would love to see some Zahn augment Viktor thugs or whatever interact with some Ionia nature magic stuff. I don't know. That's a weird mishmash. You know what I mean?
It's like, cool, your lasers are cool, but did you know there are space dragons out there?
Literally. And actual dragons.
Sure. Yeah. We just talked about one. Yeah, it's like you said, he's a lot more like militant about it, especially in that most recent comic. And I guess I kind of like the quiet, misunderstood Viktor, because I think in my mind that kind of gives more credence to some of his ideas or some of his perspective, right? Like I would kind of like that if they would purge out. Okay, so we're talking about the bio, right? I really don't like the interaction with him and Jayce that causes them like that kind of in the back half where he scoops people's brains out and stuff, because it feels very like contrived or convoluted that like he had to scoop these people's brains out, and Jayce it's like a really frustrating rom-com almost, where there's just a misunderstanding and no one's talking to each other, and that's what causes all of the problems. I guess I kind of like just more that like if they really harped on the Blitzcrank thing, right? And like that's a really big thing. He created a sentient like steam golem, right? And that's, you could just kind of work with that probably. You don't need this weird like Jayce showed up but he didn't tell Jayce what was happening because he knew Jayce wouldn't listen, and so they had this big superhero fight. It's like it feels a little like if you just kind of had him be someone who was constantly just trying to put forward these ideas. It wasn't like trying to push it on anyone. Even if you could even get to like that diving suit thing, right? And maybe maybe write it so that he was a little more like understood kind of what he was suggesting and trying to make it more of a consensual thing, but no one listens, right? And he becomes very disillusioned with all of these people who are so logical and scientific immediately giving into their base like emotions and fears, and he can't get a word in edgewise, shit like that. Things that would really push him into thinking like, you know what, fuck emotion, fuck this shit, I'm done. No, and if you guys want to not have emotion, come on down to Emberflit Alley or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely like that a lot, because emotion can really get involved in sciences. And something you see a lot with scientists is they are very stubborn in their ways. And when you put forth a new idea, like the amount you have to prove, and even proof oftentimes isn't respected. I mean, the guy who told people to wash their hands because they were killing people doing surgeries, something I got from Sawbones, he was ostracized from the community. So they're like, how dare you tell me to wash my hands before I perform surgeries? That's preposterous.
You're telling me these invisible creatures killing
yeah, there's miniature creatures on my hands killing people? You're an idiot.
Have this man committed. Spit in his mouth on the way.
Yeah, basically. I also, I don't like the relationship with him and Jayce at all. It's so much cheaper that they're really, really good friends. So I like that Arcane made that change. Like, they have such a great relationship, and it's devastating when it starts to fall apart and Viktor starts to not trust him with some of the things that he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think if they were really close and then Jayce didn't back up Viktor about the Blitzcrank thing, that would have been more heartbreaking. I didn't care that Jayce didn't back him up on Blitzcrank. I'm like, of course he doesn't. He freaking hates Viktor. Why would he back him up on a claim? But for him to, like, maybe he's worried about his own career and doesn't want to stand up to his professor and puts that first, like, that would have been really sad and understandable, but also shitty.
Because he is probably going to be in a position of power, as the rest of the council is almost assuredly mostly dead at the end of the game.
Right? But I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? Is that with Piltover, like, science and reason and all that shit, but there's obvious, like, politics is what the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that, like, Jayce would end up in that kind of position, that he has to play the political game. Viktor is obviously the type of character who would be like disdain, like hold a bunch of disdain for that in the first place. It feels like it's kind of naturally set up there. It's just like you said, it's weird that they made them so antagonistic. Maybe if that was the way the relationship started and they quickly became like, because that's a little bit of how it starts in Arcane. They butt heads a little bit, but then they become bros, right? Like just be super bros, and then have the shit fall apart. It's great. I don't know, science bros.
Yeah, I have a few specific quotes from the bio that I think are now contradicted by Arcane, so we can kind of assume that they're not true anymore. So let's see. But Victor's work had attracted the eye of Professor Stanwyck Pedidley of Piltover, who convinced him to leave Zon and travel to Piltover's academy instead. So, I mean, we did find out in Arcane that Stanwyck Pedidley is a real inventor in Piltover, or was a real inventor in Piltover. Would not have been alive in time to bring up Viktor from Zon into Piltover, so that likely didn't happen. So the whole Blitzcrank thing likely didn't happen. It was, if they decide to go that route, it's going to be someone else. Also, Viktor said that nobody believed in him when he came up from Zon, and if he was pulled up by Stanwyck, that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, and Heimerdinger, wasn't he like an assistant? Like Heimerdinger's like primo assistant, like his right hand man, right at the start of everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
There's another quote: "The two worked together frequently, but never truly became friends." And I'm going to quote Jayce here, talking to Mel Medarda. "He's like my brother."
Which would surely cut Viktor deep, because he's clearly in love with Jayce in Arcane.
Let's see. Well, I think those were it for like the direct quotes. I thought the whole thing with the diving suit was interesting, because it's very much Singe's school of thought. So I'm interested to see, as far as we know, at the end of Arcane, Viktor left on good terms with Singed. Singed gave him the warning that, your friends won't understand what you're doing. Viktor was like, no, Jayce will understand. Viktor changed his mind real quick about that. There's a very good chance season 2 we're going to get a lot more Viktor-Singed interactions.
Yeah,
so I'm
how did
curious
they...
to see how that...
Viktor knew him as a child, right? Is that... I have only seen Arcane once.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
So
remember.
Viktor, he built a little mechanical boat, and he lost track of it, and it floated into a cave where Singed was doing kind of experiments on... God, I forget what those creatures are called.
Yeah, the critter.
I know they're little legends.
Did they even...
But...
Oh, okay, they're little legends. Okay.
Yeah. That's how they originally met.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that makes sense. They're going to get into the Warwick stuff with Singed. I really like that. I really like that pairing. I think that's a really smart decision.
Yeah. Because I could see
I'm
Viktor
super
kind of
excited
slowly getting more and more twisted as he spends time with Singed and is working on his own experiments. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's
and
like
really...
been a lot of the flesh to mechanic. Like that's his whole thing. Singed. he loves combining
meat and metal.
He loves mixing and matching. Can't stop the guy.
So will it blend? This human arm and a bowl of rice.
Ugh, human dust. Don't breed this.
Nice. Some more timely references.
I like it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I had a thought, but my brain just farted. So don't worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah. That's all I got for the bio.
Yeah, me too.
Sure.
Want to move on to House on Amber Flit Alley by
Yes.
Ray Lahide?
Yeah, for sure. I liked this one. Like you said, I kind of like the Viktor that's depicted here. So it's following I guess a little kid who's getting kind of bullied by this group of... They're a little Zon kid, obviously, who's getting kind of bullied by these other bigger, tougher Zon kids. And I like it because we've been talking about him too much already. Viktor's house is like the creepy old haunted house that's on Emberflit Alley, and they're kind of forcing him to go in.
Yeah, you go in. He reminded me of the scientist in Edward Scissorhands or something like that. Is what I was getting.
Yeah. I would be curious if I could ask Ray Lahide one question. It would be, is that intentional? Because it, as you say it feels really specific. But yeah, so they kind of force him to go in and go steal something of worth, and if he doesn't come back out with it, they're gonna beat him up real bad. And he gets in, and it is a very scary place. It's full of glass jars with weird organic and mechanic things sort of mixed and just floating in them, and a gurney that's covered in blood and stuff. And then there's Viktor, and he's got his arm open, you know, his mechanics and his meat kind of all mixed together in there, and he's just working on it. You know, he's got his little death ray laser just soldering some shit. And the kid's kind of freaking out, but Viktor is pretty, you know, calm, and he's just like, oh, I'm fixing my tendons. Do you want to come look? Check it out. It's pretty cool. And the kids were like, you're Viktor, right? Are you gonna replace my head with a dog or some shit? Like, I don't know what, you know, all these
Mars
rumors.
attacks.
Yeah, right. And Viktor is, for the whole time, is pretty placid. He's like, oh, is that what they think about me? It's like, that would be silly, you know. Where'd you hear that I replaced old Timmy's head with a dog? Did you hear from Timmy? He's like, oh no, I heard it from his cousins, aunts, uncles, you know, roommate or whatever. And he's like, oh, it must be true then. But he makes some warm milk, some warm sweet milk, using his death ray to heat it up, and he's just sort of explaining that, like, you know, it's like, you know, fear is you know, this thing that controls people, and you know, you shouldn't really let it control you, and if you want, no pressure. I have a little thing that could temporarily make it so that you don't feel fear, right? And what I kind of find is that when bullies don't have fear to feed on, they kind of starve. And the kid is kind of looking out at him. Viktor gives him a little megaphone, be like, here, scream into this as loud as possible. And he screams in, and it like echoes throughout the whole street and kind of spooks him. And he gives him the kid this little, I guess, augment, for lack of a better word. It's this little like silver bead that he puts behind the kid's ear and will last about 20 minutes, he says. And after he puts it in the kid's whole demeanor changes, and he's like, you know what you need to do now, right? And the kid's like, yes, I do, Viktor. Excuse me. And he goes out, and the bully's like, oh, hey, look, it's a little dopey. How come you don't have anything? And the kid just beats one of their asses. and the rest run off. And I will say, for Viktor's part, after he sends the kid out, he is watching, and he is watching in the context of, he wants to see how the experiment will work out, and kind of looks on with like, oh, good to know that's how that works. And if you ever want, I guess he's also like, hey, if you ever want this to be permanent, you come on by, you come see Viktor. First taste is free. Right?
I'll give you another little dime bag.
Right. But that's it. I actually really like this. There are a lot of little details. I like that the way they describe Viktor's place is like a little horror house, and Viktor's kind of looking around. He's like, you know, this is just cozy to me, but I can kind of see how a little kid would think this is spooky.
I guess I could see all the brains being a scary thing.
Kind of see
I'm
it.
really used to it, but
yeah,
I did really like this. I will say. So I feel like at the end he's finding, okay, fear. When you don't feel fear anymore, it makes you more powerful. But I think that there is a side to that. Your fear response is very important. Could you imagine if you just never felt any fear, you would die so fast.
Sure.
You just go up and try and uppercut Urgot. The fuck?
Yeah, I almost kind of wish that the kids all just beat the shit out of him afterwards, because that makes more sense to me. Like, there are a lot of bullies that if you stand up to them, they will back down. But this is a group of bullies, and like, I don't know.
I've seen Karate Kid.
Yeah, I feel like they would have just been like, did you just fucking hit me? And just beat the crap. It didn't make him more powerful. It just made him not afraid.
That's true. I agree. I think I would like that too, because it would really kind of hammer on that while Viktor comes off as pretty genial and kind of kind and caring, Viktor really shouldn't really feel a lot. He really shouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna help this little kid. He should really just see him like it kind of hints at as just like a resource. Like, oh, this is an experiment. Let's see what happens. Oh, the kid got his ass beat. I guess I need to add something else. Like if he just made a note, like, oh, I need to add like an adrenaline boost or something.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of like Singed, honestly. That would put him in a really Singed place. Maybe that's a little too dark. I don't know. It's hard because I grapple with liking Viktor not really as a villain, just as someone who's really misunderstood. But when you do pull all or most of the emotions out of somebody, like, they're gonna do some kind of villainous shit just by nature of like cold calculating logic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very Ultron, you know?
Sure, yeah, right. Like, there's got to be some sort of like perfect middle ground for Viktor, and I don't quite know what that looks like. I guess
He's got to retain his humanity, you know, while still being a mechanical scientist.
I think Arcane will pull that off.
I think so.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say earlier. Is that like I feel like in the written word with League, a lot of the time they try and do this like, oh, it's a misunderstanding. Both sides are kind of wrong, and they don't really always pull it off very well. But I thought Arcane did that beautifully with like, you know, Vi and Jinx.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of trust in it. I'll say.
Yeah.
That's all.
A few notes about this. One of the when we were first introduced to Viktor, it said Viktor's third arm emitted a thin ray of light that welded metal into his left arm with steady precision. And we need a new name for that because third arm is already taken, and it's not good.
I never thought about it that way. Is that
The
that
problem
must
is
be
I
a
always think
guy
third
thing,
leg.
huh?
I was
Yeah,
thinking,
third
you know,
leg
like
makes more
leg.
sense.
Kickstand, you know.
He says I'm working on one of those too.
I augmented
Yeah, that's funny.
every part of me.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit already, how this is a very different Viktor than the bio. Because, you know, the bio very specifically was like, he didn't even like distractions. You know, if people were like, there's a chem spill, you need to evacuate. He's like, ugh, interrupting my work. And now he's like inviting distractions. And he's got the human weakness of sweet milk.
He did admit it was a human weakness.
He could build it out of him if he wanted. He's choosing
I suppose
to keep
that's
it.
true. I guess
It
that's
sounds
something
good,
I'd like to
though.
explore with Viktor. The sweet milk, especially that he heated it up with his death ray. I did like that bit. Like I thought that was a neat little detail.
Right?
See, this
It
is the,
just splashes everywhere. I can't imagine that working very well.
it just shoots right through like the stove or whatever. Fuck, I forgot to turn it down.
Oh, damn it.
Damn it.
He throws in a big pile of like saucepans that are all like giant laser holes in them.
We're making a Mundo now.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would kind of like the idea, and I think there are hints of it with Viktor sometimes that like he's kind of like deluded almost, that he thinks that that there's a solution and it's purging all this emotion, but there's this little core to him that like maybe doesn't really believe it all the way. He kind of holds on to those little bits of humanity every now and then. I don't know, for someone who's like so supposed to be like purged of emotion, he seems to emote a lot, especially in like the comic. I felt like
Yeah.
it reminds me of like the nobodies
Yes.
from Kingdom Hearts, if you know whatever, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
John Wood.
I don't
He's a big
Anyway.
loser.
yeah,
What about Kingdom
likewise.
Hearts? Sorry.
So yeah, I don't know.
Before we hop into the comic too, I know a quick fix was not about Viktor at all. I did want to talk a little bit about the mention of him. Actually,
Yeah,
first things first. One thing I wanted to mention was the one quote for Jayce. He watched the door open, his fingers tightened on the trigger, and he almost blasted a 7-year-old girl's head off. Like, it's weird that this is a problem with Jayce. This is
It persists into the comic too. He's got this guy, man.
he kills a lot of kids.
There's something about
He almost
You know-
killed a kid hair drawing.
All right. Well, he finished the job in Arcane.
Oh, shit.
yeah, no, that's it is a weird detail for him, but you know what? Consistency is there. We'll say.
I also thought it was funny. There's a quote here. Tubes of bright green chems protruded from the base of their necks, connecting to their limbs. Their eyes were dead, their faces emotionless. Jayce had been expecting to see automatons, but Viktor likely couldn't have gotten so many through Piltover unnoticed. Like, y'all think that people in Piltover would be more suspicious of an automaton than people with bright green chem tubes coming out of their neck? Fucking excuse me?
I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Those are just their lime sacks. It gives them sweet tequila drinks directly.
If only. That's an augment I'd buy.
You don't like tequila.
But if I didn't have to taste it,
But if it was in a
guess
nice
that's
margarita, that's true. Mainline it. Why can I hold all these limes? Thanks to these augments. That's fucking stupid.
Can you
yeah, I
fill
don't know.
my glass?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Were you gonna go more into that story?
No, I was gonna skip straight to A Perfect Life.
That's fine. I was just gonna say that like that's something where we're back to in that story. We're back to Viktor being like a proper superhero, like or supervillain, I should say, where he's got his like Kim slaves. I think is the way they're referred to. Like it's just weird, right? It's just so different from the Viktor that we just talked about in the short story, where he's in his little quiet, spooky haunted house, and now he's got these like roving bands of thugs, like go kick Jayce around a bit. You know what I mean?
What did I chant in Doctor Who? I can't remember. The Cyberman?
I don't know. I never watched Doctor Who.
I actually probably have the quote here because he does have a Cyberman quote.
Of course he does. They even kind of look like Cybermen in the comic.
Interesting. I don't know. Doctor Who sounds cool though. Maybe I should watch some of it.
Doctor Who's pretty fun. I always end up falling off of it, but like it is a good time. Like it's just a good time. Right? There's so many.
Yeah. Oh, this probably isn't something they yell a lot. It's just something they said.
Oh yeah.
My opponents need to be upgraded. Is a Cyberman.
Cool. But yeah, we can go on to the comic.
Yeah, I have notes for kind of the Viktor bits if y'all wanted.
Viktor?
I don't know.
Man, if only like Viktor had more quotes. I could have done a Cyberman or Viktor.
That's true.
We have freedom from disease, protection against heat and cold, true mastery. Do you prefer to die in misery? That's something that the Cybermen say.
It's very Viktor.
The Cybermen sound pretty cool. I'll also throw it out there. Warhammer 40k, Adeptus Mechanicus, they're pretty much just Viktor. They're just a bunch of robot dudes who just, who live on Mars.
The only thing I know about Warhammer is that rat game we played.
They're not rats, but they're in the ballpark, I suppose.
They're vermins.
They were rats. I played it. I killed a lot of them.
That's true. There's a shit ton of them.
There's a
was fun.
tide of them, in fact.
We should play that again.
We should play more. Yeah.
I would play that more.
Yeah, you can go through the notes if you want, or I can run through it. I'm fine either. I don't know how he is for AUs.
You can splitsies.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have them by issue or?
No, it's just kind of like a broad summary.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But that kind of includes the Echo shit.
It should be noted that on the wiki, they're not in the proper order as well, the issues.
Yeah, it's just...
I opened them all and I was like, oh, it starts with number 5. Cool.
Yeah, make sure you look at the issue numbers at the start, people. It's important. Otherwise, you're starting at 5.
Do you have all the credits, by the way?
I only have
there's a whole
writer.
credits page.
Yeah, but they do have the
up.
credits page, which is nice,
Yeah.
They have it in every comic, in fact.
Mm-hmm. They also have like a diagram of like Piltover and all the levels of the song, which is pretty cool.
Which I had to double check to make sure that the Entresol level wasn't lower than I thought it was.
Was it where you expected it to be? It was right there in the middle?
It was technically a little lower than I thought it was. I think I had it confused with the Palisade level, but it was still not as low as it would have been for mining.
I like that they have like Jayce's lab. Like, here's specifically where it is, by the way, just in case you're curious. It's right there.
Also lower than I would have expected, honestly.
Maybe it's pretty high up relatively. I don't know. What can I say? I was trying to find the credits page. I was really hoping to be able to do that real quick. But, okay, hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I think I got it here, right here. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yep. So the writer was John O'Brien. Layouts, Dietrich O. Smith. Pencils for issues 1 and 4, Dietrich O. Smith. And then for issue 5, Chrism Zamora. Inks for issue 1, Dietrich O. Smith. Issues 2 and 4, William Wolford. Issues 3 and 5, Chrism Zamora. Colors, Kyle Brightbill. Lettering in the EU languages, Studio Ram. Lettering in non-EU languages, Comic Crafts, Tyler Smith. Cover artist is Corey Lewis. Editors were Sabrina Futch and Kate Gary for issues 1 and 3. The comics narrative lead, Molly Mahan. And special thanks to Mary Gumport. So I always like a nice full credits page.
Aw, Jinx, show me a Coke.
I like a nice full credits page for a comic. I feel really bad when we do a comic and it's like, I got a writer, but someone drew this and it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's this is an Echo story, I guess, to be clear. Obviously it's from Convergence, right? And it's kind of following a day in the life of Echo. He's got his crew that we get to meet. We get to get his parents' name, which I didn't write down, but they're still alive. They're still kicking around in here.
Still kicking.
Yep.
Worse, a little worse for the wear, but they're still around.
Yeah, the big conflict is that Echo's father's eyesight is going, and in about 3 months he will be fully blind. And Echo's trying to figure out what to do, and runs into this guy who is giving away augments to Zonites because he wants to sell them to Piltovans. And if he, for some reason, he kind of thinks that, hey, if they see all the Zon people are using it and it works for them, then the Piltovans will think it's good, it's okay and safe. I don't know if that logic tracks, but
right?
You know what? It's like Pilties don't really have a strong opinion.
If it's good enough for the Zonites, it's good enough for us.
I guess it's like
I gotta give me that Zon tech.
They're the testing rats for Piltover, right? I guess
Kinda,
a little bit, yeah.
I think so, but they're given away they're being given away for free. I really would like to almost revisit this comic for Echo specifically, because like I'm kind of middling about the Viktor stuff, but I really like the Echo stuff. I don't want to get too much into it. Mm-hmm. But he convinces his dad to go get one, and we see that this guy... So I guess the other thing to know for Viktor is that the current kind of prevailing belief in Piltover is that Viktor is dead. And even the members of... I don't know if we really got into it, but Viktor has kind of a cult that sort of sprung up sort of around him or following him, called the Cult of the Glorious, like the Glorious Evolved, who are also super into the like become machine thing. Even they think that he is dead and gone and will just return someday, kind of like a second coming type situation. Yeah.
They'll hide eggs and try to find them when he comes back.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I think that's what
they hide cogs.
The glorious eggvolution. I like the but Viktor is alive. With the reveal at kind of the end of the issue 1 is that Viktor is alive, and this benefactor, this guy who's giving out free augments, is leveraging Viktor to actually create the tech, right? And he's kind of raises a good point about like, Viktor, Piltover thinks you're fucking nuts. The last thing they knew, you had a bunch of people with their brains scooped out, so you let me be the face and you do the work,
I like
right?
His accent. But he's like, you're the brains,
Viktor,
I'm the
baby.
face. Yeah, Viktor, baby. You're not a people person. I'm good with people.
Just keep doing work. You're doing good.
Yeah. And, you do your math or whatever with your numbers and... Also, wear this new mask. You look like a fucking psychopath.
That was right. It is a dopey looking mask that he gives him. I swear, I hate that new mask.
It almost looked like Jin's face.
It did.
A little bit.
It kind of did, so much like Jin's face.
I thought when
it's
I first saw
weird.
it, I was like, are they just now making it that they created Jin's mask? That's weird.
Is Viktor Jin?
Is Viktor?
But
really, they're all
sense.
LeBlanc anyway. So.
I've never seen him in the same place.
This is true. You can't lie. Viktor, like, he goes out on the town in his pimp disguise. You know what I mean? Like, he's got his cane. He's got this like big coat to like hide himself. He looks like Kramer from that one episode of Seinfeld. You know?
I don't know that.
I do know that one.
You know what I mean? He looks
I know
like
what you mean.
He's kind of doing the Heimer thing where he's just like, he's pretending to be a commoner and he's going out amongst the people to see what they're doing with the augments that he's given them, and he's like, they're wasting them. You know, they're using their new legs to like show off in parkour, or their cool new extendo arms to graffiti Jinx graffiti, like at really high spots, right? He's getting really frustrated. You know, the way an unemotional robot is. He's getting really pissed off about it all. And he eventually, funny enough, is confronted by some Cult of the Glorious Evolved people who had showed up earlier, and he's getting mad at them, obviously, because he also thinks the whole like worship and religion thing is like just a human failing. He beats them up super good, and then reveals that he himself is the Messiah Viktor, and they're like, "Oh fuck, you're our man, you're our guy." And they're like, wait, check out what we got. And so they take him back to the ruins of his lab, where they have been like building their own little. They take him back to the commune, right? Where they've.
We all grow our own food here.
They grow their own food. It's a peaceful, loving commune, and they just want everyone to be happy. But it's got a bunch of
I have a mind control device.
And I have 6 wives. And that's where the orgies happen.
Right. And any young men we're going to kick out, and it's all going to, right? Yeah, they got a bunch of Cybermen there, and they have they say his like transmitter is the thing that lets him control people, and Victor's like, oh, this is pretty fucking badass. And then there's like a big chemical fire, and what they do is the guy who's kind of showing him the place just presses the button, and all of the Cybermen, all of the like mechanized automaton people, just walk into the fire to put it out, like at the expense of their own lives, right? And for some reason, Victor is like, this is super fucking cool. You've done it. I didn't think that we could do it, but you guys have done it. Good shit. They get into a fight with some pilt-over like enforcers who are seeing what's going on. And it kind of convinces Victor that, like, yeah, this is the way. We're going to do this. Now, for Echo's part, he's got some friends. His friends have gotten some of the free augments. And he's not quite sure how to feel about it. His dad is going to get the augment, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess it's fine. Then when he goes back, all of his augmented friends are acting super fucking weird, like, not really responding and kind of being monotone and just talking about how they're operating at, peak efficiency and shit. And Echo's not too sure about all this, so he sneaks into the compound where the augments are getting done, and he finds, I guess, like Victor's like office, I guess we'll say, and he finds a picture of Jayce and Victor. He finds one of their old diving suits that they had worked on with Jayce's seal of approval on it, and he's like, I don't know what's going on here, but Jayce is caught up in it, and indeed Echo's dad is now all borged out, essentially. So he's got to go get to the bottom of it. He goes to confront Jayce. Jayce is like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but it sounds like that's some Victor shit, I suppose. But Jayce does not want to go help Hector.
Echo's also kind of like, Victor's dead, you told everyone that. And Jayce is like, I didn't tell everyone that. They just assumed that. And I kind of let him.
That's true.
He's really fucking funny in this comic, Jayce.
Yeah, I kind of like him. Well, I kind of like to laugh at him. I don't know.
Yeah, like,
wouldn't want to hang out with him.
No, he's so awful, but he's really funny.
Yeah. But yeah, Echo's like, whatever, I'll go fix this myself. And he goes back down into Zon, and he goes to go try and confront, help his dad and solve everything. But if this is like the Futurama like Mother's Day episode, all of the Victor augment people are just now running amok and just like causing fucking chaos. They're like kicking people's asses and shit. And he's trying to, he's like, he knows they need to get to Victor. He's got him and his couple other friends who are still unaugmented, and they're kind of on the run. And the way they kind of solve the problem, I will say, is that his friends are really like bad inventors, right? Echo's a really good inventor. His friends are shitty inventors, and they make these terrible things like sticky shoes. They're shoes that have glue on them, and when you put these inventions in front of the Cybermen, right, the augmented Victor people, it's like a paradox thing. It like throws them for a loop because they can't understand why you make something like this.
Yeah, like sense. Why would you put rockets on your knees? That is not the most efficient place to put rockets. Right. Oh, I loved the single hand, but there's a third hand, but you need to use both your hands to control it. It's like that would only leave you with one hand. And the friend is so defensive, and he's like, it's really good.
These slingshot pants, I really like that. It was very funny.
Oh, the slingshot pants, they were good too.
Victor's like a temporary setback, but it won't last forever. But then Jayce shows up, and they kick Victor's ass, and they destroy the thing that is controlling everybody. And Victor gets away again. Oh, Victor, we'll get you next time. Because at this point, Victor has gone full take over the world. We got to force everyone to be glorious evolved. I guess that should be clear. He's become complete megalomaniac. But they save the day. Everyone's happy chappy. And Jayce will help Echo's dad get his eyes augmented, but in a way that's not like, doesn't have evil shit in them, I suppose. And to the guy's credit who was working with Victor, I'll add, he was on the level. He was just trying to do exactly what he said. He didn't think, for some reason, he thought Victor would be cool. And I don't know, Victor was not cool.
Yeah, he was just a capitalist trying to make a buck.
He believed in the misunderstood Victor that we all like. I think he just thought that Victor was misunderstood. And
I do like the conversation they had at the beginning. He's like, we can both agree that like you're a genius, but not all your ideas are good. Just trust me. I'll tell you which ideas are good and which ones are bad.
Which, honestly, we all need a friend like that.
Sure.
You put your phone down. Right? You're not calling him tonight, okay?
Victor, we're just going to go dance it out. No boys. Just going to go dance. Come on.
Is that a Dave Cook reference?
Yeah.
Like a really, really old, where I just want to stand in a circle around our pocketbooks and dance. Why is that seared into my... This is, I think, Dave Cook's first special we're referencing right now, before things got weird and he became such an asshole. But yeah, it's special, man. It's in my brain, for sure.
Yeah.
I still call Burger King the BK Lounge sometimes.
It's true. You gotta. And we did have an obby. So...
Mm.
An obby?
That was one of his other ones.
I missed that
fine.
one. Sorry.
It's bits and pieces. It's a fractured memory in my brain. We get the Victor face reveal. Right?
We do get Victor face reveal.
I don't like it. He looks
a
nothing
little
like
older
Arcane
than
Victor.
I thought.
And then they show Arcane Victor, like there's like a picture of him and Jayce in Arcane.
Yeah, it's their Arcane outfits looking so sharp.
And they look like themselves there, but then Jayce is very white in this comic, so I don't know. It's like they wanted a little nod to Arcane in there, but they were still going with like League Universe, Victor and Jayce.
Yeah, I think that's
which makes sense because Arcane wasn't canon at the time,
it wasn't
I imagine
announced.
they'd want to lean more into the old lore. Man, joke was on them. That was a quick 180.
Yeah. They're like, the comic's done. We just put it up. Like, okay, but you made sure that it was in line with Arcane, right? They said, what?
I don't know what they could do with Victor in that case, but yeah. I did like, as far as like continuing Jayce's shit, I like who he's become in this a little bit, because he's still his arrogant self, but he's actually trying to be a little bit more heroic. Like, his whole thing at the end is like, he's going to fix all of their augments, he says. Like, he is going to, for free, fix every single person who got Victor's augment, which that's kind of a big deal.
Sure.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I liked so Echo and Jayce fight, right? And one of Jayce's medals gets smashed. And I like Echo's line of like, you should smash all these medals, by the way.
You're an idiot.
Yeah. I kind of like that. And I guess the other thing I don't know, this is Echo shit. I don't want to get into it. I was going to talk about like the Echo stuff. I liked the Echo stuff a lot. I really liked the stuff with him and his dad, I'll say in particular.
Yeah.
I thought that like...
Great.
we should really save it for a revisit, because I'll just gush about it ultimately.
Yeah, we should. For sure.
We'll have a revisit. We can talk about
We're gonna
Echo and Jayce
revisit
more in
Echo.
this for sure.
We've already revisited Echo once. We're gonna fucking do it again.
You know what? How appropriate,
Maybe we'll play
right?
Convergence or something.
Right? We're gonna revisit it time and time and time and time.
Hey, if they keep putting out good stuff for him, I'll gladly keep going back to Echo.
Right? And I love the Arcane version of Echo too. So when we get more of that, like, fuck yeah.
Sure. For Victor's part, I was a lot more miffed. I think because, like we said, I like the not supervillain Victor. He is full Doctor Doom in this really quickly. And there's like I said, the moment where like he goes there and the guy's like, oh, we'll fix this problem, and he presses the button, and it's like just this stream of, they're still people, right? They just have robot bodies, and like their heads are in jars. Again, it's very Futurama, and they're just like, they're slamming down like these metal like plates over this fire, and then the one behind them will put the metal plate like over the next person in front of them until they just create enough of a mass to like solve the problem. It's like, it's in my mind it was like, oh, this is kind of haunting and chilling, and Victor's like, oh, that's super cool, that's awesome.
That didn't seem like that's what he was going for. Yeah, it didn't feel like that's what Victor's going for when he's talking about augmenting people to be their most proficient selves. I didn't think that meant throwing yourselves on a chemical fire.
It's interesting because, like, on the one side, it's definitely not what original Victor was shooting for, but it is what would happen if what he wanted to do made it into a more widespread distribution, like just taking away someone's fear response. Like, that is something they might do. It's like, is a logical conclusion to what he wanted, just in a, I don't think he wanted it at that point.
I agree. I guess I would like it to be something that spurs him to self-reflect, to look at that and realize, oh, I guess that makes sense that that's how it would manifest. I don't know how I feel about that, especially since I've removed a lot of my emotional processing ability. I don't know, right?
That's
like
something
for me,
that Arcane Victor would have reflected on. Be like,
Yeah.
oh,
yeah, right.
That's not what I meant.
And then
In the pursuit of great, we failed to do good.
yeah, and like him and then you could have him and Jayce on like a team up trying to stop this cult, this like run amok like cult of glorious evolve leader who's doing this other crazy shit. It's like, I think that's more maybe what I would like to see with Victor, rather than him being like, okay, yeah, let's robots for everybody, let's go, come on.
Robots for everybody, not for everybody, as everybody.
Are everybody? Yeah,
You are a robot,
everybody is
and you
robots.
are a robot. Your dog's a robot.
So it's I like it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it as much here. I like him in like the initial, more in the initial issue when he's just kind of doing his like Phantom of the Opera thing a little bit. It's just like after he takes
Nice and dramatic.
yeah, he's got his pipe organ.
That way. Yeah.
But yeah, in the later parts where he's like, what's so funny too is that like in the very first issue, like the last panel is this like half-page panel of like, it's like this like looking up shot at him, and he's like, yeah, yes, and he's like surrounded by like these tubes with like weird human forms in it. It's like, God, man, there's like we've gone fully off the deep end with Victor. I don't know. Right.
He worked as a villain for the comic for sure, but yeah,
I think,
not the Victor that's the most fascinating to me.
Not my Victor.
Not my Victor. Yeah, this feels like more like Urgot shit almost. A little,
or like Renata, it's type stuff. I don't know, like
Yeah, it would be very Renata.
And that's the thing. It's like Renata does the supervillain thing, I think, just way better, right? In a way that just feels like more clean. Then with Victor, it's like, why are we trying to have us like sympathize with him? But he's doing this shit that's pretty like heinous and doesn't really feel like it's coming from it doesn't feel like it's coming from a place of like, well, I can at least understand his perspective. It's just like, oh, he's just doing evil supervillain shit. Go, Echo and crew gotta save the day. I don't know.
And honestly, if he had waited just a little bit, then that whole like turn the mind control thing on and take control of everyone would have been so much more effective. Because
That's
man,
also
those
true.
augments were getting out there. All he had to do was fucking chill his jets.
That's true.
You're absolutely right.
They could have waited for it to go to Piltover. Even.
Yeah.
Eventually, Piltover would have taken. No, I mean it would have taken maybe a couple of years, but there's your world dominant, or at least Piltover's on domination.
What is a couple
Again,
years to a robot?
Yeah, right. It's true. It doesn't make the most sense. Even from that perspective of like, why did he make that decision? It just feels like, again, it seems like he was really caught up in the emotion of it all, which is just like it. I don't know. Is he supposed to be a weird emotionless robot? Is he supposed to have an emotional core but just kind of denies it? Yeah,
That's
I don't know.
personal hex core. It's just his emotions.
Yeah.
So I have a handful of stories that he's mentioned in too.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, obviously the Defender of Tomorrow, which is the Jayce bio, where we get the same story but from Jayce's side. Obviously Victor's the villain in that one. We have the Great Steam Golem, where basically we just find out that Victor found Blitzcrank. He improved him through Hex Tech, but he just kind of found him.
Maybe that's
And then the Council Archives, which I feel like we have to take as canon. They were
assume so.
Arcane. So we get entries from Jayce's journal. There's a bunch of him experimenting with Hex Tech. And then they resume after his confiscated journal is returned. And then he starts talking about Victor, which, funny note, at first he has no idea what Victor's last name is. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I don't know what his last... We've been working together for a little while now. I don't know what his last name is. And then they pick up where he and Victor broke into Heimerdinger's lab. And apparently the experimentation process was much more lengthy than we see in the show. There was a lot of failed attempts before we get the one that actually broke the window and drew Heimerdinger's attention. There's a lot of failed experiments there. But one of the interesting things was that they do have he has a lot of journal entries where he's out looking for something like the Hextech crystal, and I think they finally when he finally gets his big break, it's in an undisclosed, unspecified desert.
Could be any desert.
It could be any desert.
There's so many in Runeterra.
But yes, that was interesting.
Huh.
Also, he shows up in Punches and Plants in that great Blitz interaction from the Vi episode that we talked about in the Vi episode, where Viktor was so proud of Blitzcrank for trying to destroy Valorant, only to be so disappointed when he found out Blitz was just being mind controlled and is a robot of the law now. Yeah, that's like canon.
Yeah.
I think so. Are you ready to eat some crow and talk about old Viktor? Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah. I guess we have been talking about old Viktor. We're going to talk about old Viktor next, I suppose.
I'll talk about a little old Viktor. I mean, there's various versions. I'll talk about the oldest version,
yeah.
And then if you have like a more recent version, you kind of talk about that. Like,
the only one I saw was the one where he joins the League of Legends. And his bio.
Oh, okay. Honestly, it's got a lot of the same story beats. One of the big differences is that after Stanwyck stole credit for Blitzcrank, he also used Viktor's research to revive Urgot.
Oh
no shit! I guess I missed that, or maybe
that.
Yeah.
And then obviously the quote for joining the league: Viktor joined the League of Legends to pit his inventions against the greatest opponents Valorant could offer, and to correct any weakness or inefficiencies that remained.
Solid. I feel like we talked some shit about old Viktor, and I talked some shit about old lore in just a couple episodes ago. But I kind of like when I read that, I was like, oh, this is kind of what I just wanted for Viktor, because it's like he gets his shit stolen, and then he just kind of sinks into a deep depression, and just kind of disappears. And next time he shows up, he's pretty much mostly robot, and that's all he's. And he just kind of shows up to do league. Yeah, and it's like that's kind of what I just like after reading all this. That's kind of what I just want more. Is not like him with being a big supervillain, but just like some guy who disappeared and was lonely and is just shown back up to, because he's got this idea for the way things should be, and he just wants to like prove it out, I guess, like to people, or like make himself it's almost like he's more like self-focused. He just wants himself to be the best, totally 100% efficient, emotionless robot that can be. He doesn't seem to want to even force it on people. I love
sweet milk too much.
It's pretty sweet. So I think it's funny that, like, I don't know, we started out this place and then all this shit happened. We've got an almost 2,000 word bio, and like at the end of it, I'm looking back at the old stuff. I was like, I kind of just want that. I don't know.
I think that's how a lot of Viktor fans felt.
Yeah, I can see that. I can sympathize a bit more. I don't know. I like the connecting to him to Jayce. Like, certainly I like a lot of what we got going in Arcane. I think that's better than him just being this solo guy who has no connections or is really doing anything with anybody.
Yeah.
So.
He's in a handful of cinematics.
Really?
First up, we got Worlds Collide, where Viktor is fighting Ari in a freeze frame.
Oh.
Next up, we got Mac Client Available, where his hand is in it, which might technically be the most of an actual champion's body to show up in the Mac Client trailer, except for maybe Zach's blob.
The Zach thing, yeah. Which one's got more volume?
Right. He shows up in Unstoppable, which is a double lift story, which highlights some of his career moments, including the one where he gets one shot by Viktor as Lucian. And then in the Just One More animation, which is inspired by the true story of the 5 North American League of Legends players with the longest losing streak in one sitting, in one of their losses, it looks like Viktor straight up 1v5'd them.
You're good enough. Yo, speaking of play Viktor.
I love playing Viktor. I love his laser.
Viktor, and I still don't.
No, the last Viktor game I had was an ARAM like a week ago or so. Was I playing with you, Mark? I fucking kicked ass. I don't remember.
I probably not. I feel like I feel like I haven't played in a lot recently, in the last couple of days at least. So
No, it was like a week ago. But yeah, it was
okay.
just like a random ARAM. It was dope.
Nice.
It was a good one.
You're
though.
badass.
You hear?
I hear tell.
Only thing I have for quotes, because we talked about my opponent needs to be upgraded one. Viktor and Jayce both have the quote, "Pave the way."
Oh, I do like that they should
like
share
that.
a quote, but in a different way. Yeah.
All right, y'all want to hear about some AUs? It's actually not like a ton.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a ton of skins.
Yeah.
Which I remember every time I play Viktor. And I have to play, like... God, which one do I play? I don't have any good ones.
I know, right?
Which one do you play? I'm curious.
We'll start with Ages of Runeterra, Other Roads. A feather knight flaps its wings, and halfway across Runeterra, an ocean drake surfaces. Our lives play out, fickle as words on parchment, the paths before us unknown and exciting. What if the road taken instead was the one less traveled?
Oh.
And this is Prototype Viktor, which has no lore.
I played this one
I thought it was
sometimes.
gonna be
It's
Full
just, like,
Metal.
Viktor has, like, no helmet, and his colors are a little different.
Next up, Full Metal, baby. This is the heavy metal AU. Audiences gather
what?
from all over the world for a chance to witness the greatest robot fighters throw down in Riot Corp's gladiatorial arenas, eager for the chance to be crowned the Full Metal Robot Fighting League champion, or breakdown trying. This is Full Machine Viktor. Created from the same circuitry as the Full Metal champion Jayce, Viktor was cast into the tunnels beneath the robot fighting arenas to serve as a janitor bot. While his twin was groomed for glory, simulcast on Espanol. Upgrading himself with the cast-offs of the destroyed, he has sworn La Venganza.
That just took more turns. We just spun around and crashed into ourselves. That was so weird. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I didn't like. Yeah, he's
That's
like
so funny.
Thresh kind of in that one almost. Like. Plus the I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, he's great. They should.
This kid's
He's like
so
Telemundo Viktor.
Poor
Yeah,
Viktor.
yeah,
no one
yeah.
probably plays it.
Next up, we got PsyOps Black Rose Group. A psychic paramilitary unit of fearsome power, the Black Rose Group hopes to create a new global order with their ferocious human bioweapons. This one, PsyOps Viktor. Leader of the rogue military known as the Black Rose Group, Viktor is a psychic technomancer whose vision for a utopian world was abandoned when he suddenly departed high command decades prior. Obsessed with an alien gate uncovered during the Arctic Ops event, his experiments into human bioweapons would allow him to breach it and upend the global order. Now, fun fact about this one. The alien gate that he's referencing likely connects PsyOps to the Odyssey and Event Horizon AUs.
Oh, I feel like you've mentioned that connection before, but I never knew what it actually was.
Yeah, that was what
okay.
Gabe Viktor discovered. There's also a cinematic associated with this, which Viktor is tagged in. It's iffy, because 5 of the PsyOps skins were released at the same time, and the other 4 all get call-outs at the end of the cinematic, but he doesn't. And he also has no fun nickname like the others do, but he's here in spirit.
Great. Awesome.
Next up, we got Battlecast. The glorious revolution is here. Assembling an army of machines with living brains, Viktor marches against the combined forces of his enemies, with only a scrappy human-led resistance keeping him from total world domination. And this is Creator Viktor. The creator of the Battlecast machine army, Viktor has perfected the art of transplanting living brains into low-tech, mass-produced weapons. But his work is far from complete, and even now he tinkers on newer, deadlier creations to crush all who oppose him. I got a couple fun facts about this skin. Within the lore, Viktor is rivaled by Jayce's Resistance, and this relationship is apparent within the Evolution skin series. Also, the Splash teased a bunch of unreleased Battlecast skins. Most of the ones that were in the Splash art for that hadn't actually been released when he was released. Creator Victor's the only skin where Victor is depicted as having his right hand replaced instead of his left one. Also, his backing animation teased Belveth.
Teased Belveth?
Yeah, and Battlecast Vel'Koz's Splash teased Belveth too.
How?
There was a mechanical manta ray in the back of both of them, and it was like the only creature in the Splash and in the backing animation that didn't have an associated Battlecast skin yet.
So it's in his
Backing animation and Vel'Koz's. Now, to be fair, it's very hidden in Vel'Koz's Splash.
Oh, okay.
You kind of have to there are people that
Squint.
zoomed in and circled it for you. But it is a very clear manta ray shape.
Interesting.
Sure. I see it. It's not. Yeah. Is it now? I assume that they just had some of these shapes in mind, and maybe that it's not like
Right.
Belveth specific.
Yeah. Like they wanted
That
to
is still neat though.
Yeah, right. Like
They need a Battlecast
It's gonna
Belveth.
be cool as hell.
Oh shit! I can see
Yeah.
that.
They do now. They teased it forever ago. Next up, we got High Noon Gothic. Gunslingers and lawmen ride beneath the merciless sun of the high frontier, chasing survival and salvation in equal measure. Heaven is rubble, hell is empty, and all the devils are here. This is High Noon Victor. Many a road to hell was paved with good intent. Dr. Victor may be the mechanical devil's kept engineer now, but his work began as charity, trying to rehome the souls of the dead in clockwork bodies in order to circumvent mortality itself. Shame that Mordekaiser saw the good doctor's kindness and struck him a deal he could not deny.
Row.
And finally, Deathsworn.
Deathsword.
Eager to claim more souls for the underworld, Death sends the souls of fallen warriors as Deathsworn back to the mortal plane where they serve their master's terrible bidding with relish. This is Deathsworn Victor. On a cold, dreary night, a pioneering inventor was tried and hanged for preaching his glorious vision of the future, a world in which the living knelt before the dead. Death had to admire Victor's conviction and sent him back into the mortal world, blessed with powers beyond imagination.
Man, I feel like that was not a good, I don't understand what his sales pitch could have been. Okay, imagine this. You're all slaves to the dead.
It sounds cool,
Stay
huh?
with me.
Is
here.
it great
Stay
or is
with
it
me.
great? Right.
You know what? I
healthcare
feel like a
plan.
lot of people would take that deal right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
those
you
are all
think-
they use, so.
Before you get into the fun
yeah,
facts, that season 2 will finally give us Arcane Victor. Whatever Victor looks like at the end of season 2, I want Arcane Victor so bad.
Oh, like a new
That's-
skin.
that's-
Yeah,
true.
a skin,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'd like that.
I know.
Unless they make Arcane Victor look exactly like base skin.
I
They
don't
wouldn't do
think
that,
they'll
though. There's an
do
opportunity
that.
for them to make money here, so.
Well, no, they give away the Arcane skins for free, didn't they?
Oh, that's true. They did.
They
Yeah.
did. I don't know if they.
I think they tweak it to look better. Not better. I mean, he looks good in game, but to fit more in line with what he's got going on.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
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 I
for
already
sure.
want the mechanical leg. That'd be cool as shit.
Right? It's a weird void leg. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I was thinking third leg situation, and you got me fucked up for a
I
second
I got you
there.
fucked.
I got dicks, y'all.
Hey, you're in a podcast with two guys. We're gonna talk about dicks.
It's on
what
the
guys
mind,
do.
24/7.
Whenever
Dick
I
talk.
ask Poppy to say a word now, by the way,
Oh,
I'll be
God.
like, "Can you say cow or something?" She'll go, "Dick" instead. It's like she's saying dick, like dick.
Was she
Sounds
trying
like
to
she's
say,
saying
or she
dick
just like that sound?
specifically from that cyanide and happiness
Yeah,
cinematic.
dicks. I don't know what she's trying to say. She just thinks it's funny. And I'll say the sound back to her, and then she starts cracking up. That every time I try to get her to say a word, she goes, dick. And then just starts laughing. And I'm like, I apparently can't try to get you to say new words now because you just say dick.
She's a little bro. You're
It is
like
funny.
it. Here's some
We were
Oakleys.
cracking each other up earlier,
Right.
going, "Duh,"
She's
at
right.
each other.
It's fun.
She's right. It's fun. I can't fault her.
She's
for
got a
that.
good sense of humor.
She doesn't need to know how to
Right.
say cow. She could say "duh."
It is funny. It's
Speaking of funny, y'all want some fun facts?
sure.
Like that transition. Victor's voiced by Owen Thomas in both League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra. Twisted Fate's also voiced by him. So,
Oh, damn.
Oh, cool.
range.
Yeah.
Russian and Cajun. Victor is voiced by Harry Lloyd in Arcane, and Eden Hayhurst voices young Victor. Victor was concepted to be part of the RiftQuest skin line as the dungeon master of the group, and his staff would have had a 20-sided die on top.
Riot, you owe us that.
Yeah. Why?
What
Would
the
have been really
hell?
cool. Like the laser would just like roll the dice. That would have been
And it would be a number at the end. Oh,
Why did they not do that? Do they hate money or like what's
I
up?
don't know.
Riot, do you hate me? Do you hate
I
me,
think that's
Riot?
it.
Riot, be honest.
Riot, do you hate me, man? Am I
thought we were
annoying
cool.
you?
Victor's third arm was originally just an arm. It didn't actually do anything cool, but Riot added lasers to it because they couldn't find any other purpose for it.
We're like, we know we want him to have an arm coming out of his
Yeah,
head.
this is a must. But what should it do? Victor's lore resembles a lot of Nikola Tesla. So
That's true. I do remember him scooping out all of those brains.
professors. No one likes to talk about it, but like we should talk about
We
this
should talk
more.
about how he scooped out all those brains of those people.
Professor Stanwyck stole credit for Victor's creation, Blitzcrank, similar to Thomas Edison stealing credit for a lot of Tesla's work, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, Guglielmo Marconi for stealing credit for the radio. And Victor's own abilities also took inspiration from a lot of Tesla's works that were never realized, like the Death Ray, a gravity device, magnetic shielding, and ionic storms.
Neat.
Is Tesla just like a supervillain in the waiting?
He was trying.
Like the technology
the
wasn't
technology
there yet?
wasn't there yet.
I love that for him. What a boss.
Despite being heavily augmented, Victor still enjoys drinking sweet milk.
We did talk about that.
Yeah. Victor's dance references the Melbourne Shuffle, which is, unsurprisingly, a dance originating from Australia.
It's a great dance. He's got a good one.
And then Victor was the first champion who had a unique item available only for him. His original prototype Hex Core. He shared this feature with Callista and Old Rengar back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who hadn't played him back then, there was an item slot taken up by this item you had to get if you wanted to upgrade your abilities.
Yeah.
It's
You
a
had to pay to
Yeah.
upgrade the item. Yeah,
Jeez.
there were a few they don't do that anymore. I feel like they
No.
decided
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that was an unfun mechanic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Old Rengar's Bone Tooth Necklace used to be an item slot.
Mm-hmm. Man, memories.
Right? I guess
forgot all
technically
about
Callista
that
still
thing.
got it, but she uses it.
who?
Yeah, she puts it in
Callista.
somebody.
Yeah, she guts someone real good.
Well, that's Victor.
That's
Any
Victor.
final thoughts?
I'm excited for season 2.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think kind of like we talked about with Vi, right? When we have that in place, we'll and also even when we go back and look at Arcane season 1, we'll look at it with fresh new eyes, and we'll be able to really
Yeah.
kind of dig into Victor a bit more, as he is depicted in current canon, I guess.
Right, I was gonna say we'll finally get a view of canon Victor, which we don't have a lot of.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think for a guy who started out as a Doctor Doom ripoff, he's come a long way, or he'll have come a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
A lot of those early champions, they had a real core central idea that they wanted to kind of work with for fun. I
Yeah,
feel like it
an
was more about the
obvious
gameplay
archetype.
and less about the
Yeah,
the lore
That is-
itself.
That is what I was going to say. I remember is that like the only issue with quiet, misunderstood Viktor that I like is that he doesn't do a lot of lasering or like, you know, like shooting people with cool weapons and things. So it's really hard to get like that sort of translated in a way. So I can see why they wanted him to. They kind of lean towards the supervillain side in some ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Jayce killed someone before Viktor did in canon.
That's true.
Shit.
Who's the villain here? I guess technically the fall killed him.
It's not the fall; it's the sudden stop at the end, and also the power blast or whatever. You know, like
It's true. The hammer to the face. Well, that was Viktor. Thank you very much for listening. We have a Twitch, twitch.tv/loreheads. John streams on Saturdays. He does TFT and ARAMs with viewers. So if you pop on over and then go in the chat and be like, John, I want to play next, you could play.
Yeah, you're in.
Yeah.
And if you have a champion, if you pop in for the TFT section and there's a champion you like and you know nothing about TFT, let me know. I'll build a whole comp around him. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
he's real good at in double up right now. He's Diamond 1. He's trying to get to Masters in TFT.
So close.
I know. So he's pretty.
You're in
he's
D1?
Pretty
I guess
good.
Is this are you talking about solo? Are you doing the
No, this is duos.
No,
with
I
my-
don't have time for duo
Gotcha.
and solo. I
Yeah.
got to choose
Oh,
one.
okay.
Although
I
you've
see.
gotten a diamond in
Gotcha.
solo as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's real good.
Nice.
I stream on Mondays, not with viewers, just with buddies. The three of us will usually play some Summoner's Rift and with a couple other friends, something like that. Yeah.
I do want to restart streaming games throughout the week.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard to find a night.
yeah, anytime I buy a game, I want to stream it at least once on PC because now I can write it off on my taxes. So I gotta make sure
I
there's
see,
a video
John.
for it.
I thought. So that's why you want to do it, huh? Yeah, we have a YouTube. We post videos of this and clips as well. And John has some fun parody songs. And we'll post WADs and stuff like that. Sometimes John will post TFT games and things like that. If you're never able to catch a stream but want to see a VOD or something, you can check out the YouTube. And we have a Discord. Want to find some people to play League with, post weird memes, talk about books, movies, TV, your cat. Post your cat. Post pictures of your cat, please.
Post your cat.
Post your
guys.
cat. Can you post
Come
pictures
on.
of your cat, actually, please, and tag
Quit
me?
holding out on us.
Quit holding it out. You give me that
Give
cat
us
right
that cat.
fucking meow. Now this is sounding
Right,
dirty.
fucking meow.
Right fucking meowy. Anyway, that's linked places. Probably this episode.
Yeah.
And we have a Patreon. We recently posted the Urfitational, which was really fun. Us reacting to that. It's for all bonus content. It's $5 a month for bonus episodes, audio and video. Well, we're gonna probably do some fun games coming up soon and stuff like that. Yeah, we try to post at least once a month, something there. It's patreon.com/League of Loreheads, I want to say.
Yeah, sounds right. That's
That
our
sounds
name.
right. It's probably it. League of Loreheads or Loreheads, something like that. Thank you
Just
so
go
much to all
there
of our
and
Patreon. Yeah,
subscribe.
just fine. Just subscribe to the first
Whatever
person
you
you see
land
on
on.
Patreon. Thank you, patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons, Mr. Dead, King of Hearts, and John Has a Dig Bick. If you had your brains corrupted, I would successfully transplant them into automatons for you and also fight off Jayce so that he didn't bring down the entire factory on us and you would live forever,
You are
friends!
not qualified
Wow,
to open
you-
somebody's skull.
No,
Well, you-
I'm not qualified. I just said
You
I'd
could
do
open
it.
the skull. Yeah.
That's true.
Results not guaranteed.
It should be at the end of all of your promises for the Medarda here. Well, please be sure to join us next week as we talk about another weird guy who likes gooey stuff, the Crimson Reaper, Vladimir.
I was
I like
very
that as a
curious who it
description for
was.
him,
'cause
right? Like, are we doing
Weird
Zach
guy who likes
already? What's
gooey
going on?
stuff.
I was literally thinking
He
that.
is gooey stuff.
Oh, that's true. I guess.